Today we're doing lesson 63, addition of vectors. This isn't really difficult. What we're going to do is we're going to take two problems, we're going to put them in, we're going to take them from polar form, change them into rectangular form, and add them together. And that's basically what we're going to be doing in our lesson today. So it starts out with the word problem. Flying arrow left the village and traveled 20 miles on a heading of 20 degrees. I think when they say heading, they just mean an angle of 20 degrees. From this point, he traveled 40 miles on a heading of 210 degrees. How far did he end up from the village? So we're going to break this into two problems. We have this one right here where he traveled 20 miles at a heading of 20 degrees. So I just did what we do. Normally we just write it, we just draw our vector, we set it on our coordinate axis here, and we can make our little triangle. And we can figure out what our north, how far he traveled north and how far he traveled east. And we're going to put it in rectangular form. Then we're going to take the second part of the problem. It says from this point, we're just going to start fresh. We don't actually start from this point. We're just going to start fresh and do a fresh rectangular coordinate system. He traveled 40 miles at a heading of 210. 210, this would be 180, and then what's left would be 30 degrees. Over here I subtract 210 minus 180. In polar coordinates, we would write it like this. 40 at 210 degrees, and this one would be 20 at 20 degrees. So we're going to take each of these, we're going to convert them into rectangular coordinates where we say right and up. And then we're just going to add the rights together, and we're going to add the ups together. So let's start with this one. If we're going to find out our north, we know that north equals, well, let's just do the sine of 20 degrees equals opposite over hypotenuse. So it's going to be n over 20. And on this one, we're going to have, well, let's just finish this problem. And then we're going to have 20 sine of 20 degrees equals n. And then you're just going to put everything into your calculator, which I have written down. And we're going to get north equals, I'm going to round it to two places, equals 6.8. Then we're going to do our cosine. We need to find our east. That's going to be adjacent. This means adjacent. So we're going to say the cosine of 20 degrees equals north over 20. And that would be 20 cosine of 20 degrees, whoops, it should be east here, equals east. And we put this in our calculator. We take 20 times the cosine of 20, and we get our east direction is 18.8 equals east. Now if we're going to put this in our right and up thing, we're going to say 6.8 up plus 18.8 right. Or you can put it in the other order. So that's that part. Now we have to move on and get our rectangular. These are the problems I was telling you about a while ago that might take the entire board to do. So be patient. These problems take a little bit of time to do. I want to show you something too. We can almost skip from this right down to this. You can see our north direction is just the vector length sine, and our east and west direction would be 20 cosine. So you can almost skip this if you understand what I'm doing. Okay, let's look at this one. I'm going to have to move this problem over there. So this problem, we're going to make our triangle, and this is going to be our, we'll just call this, this is our west and our south this time. So let's try this one. We're going to do the sine of 30 degrees equals opposite, so that's south over our hypotenuse, which is 40. We would get 40 sine of 30 degrees equals our south, and we just put that all in our calculator, and we're going to get our south equals 20. And then we're going to do our, we're going to find our west, and that's going to be cosine because it's adjacent. So we say the cosine of 30 degrees equals west over 40, our hypotenuse. Cross multiply, 40 cosine of 30 degrees equals west, and we put that in our calculator, and we get west equals 34.8. And let's put these into our rectangular coordinate numbers. So we're going to have, this is our west, so we're going to have negative 20 up, because as you can see over here we went down, so even though we use up it's negative 20, minus 34.8 right. So we have our two different rectangular coordinates. Hopefully you learned how to do that in a past lesson, that this wasn't one of those problems where you said, I'm just going to skip this, I don't get this. So now we're just going to add these, we're going to add our ups together, and we're going to add our rights together, and we're going to have our final answer. So we have 18.8 right, I'm going to put them in the right order this time, plus 6.8 up. And then we're going to have our minus, when we subtract these, because these are negative, we're going to get minus 16 right, minus 13.2 up. And if we start at the village, we're going to go minus 16 right, which would be west. So you would say, who is this guy? Flying arrow from the village went 16 miles west and 13.2 miles south. And that's how you answer these questions. You just say how far west and how far south for this type. Now, the next kind of problem is a little bit different, but kind of the same. It's right here. We're going to add these two polar coordinates.